This must be 47. TGE, the podcast. Hello and welcome. It's nice to be back. I'm here with Tyler. Today we're going to be talking about Aziz Ansari's new comedy special. It's kind of a new thing for us, kind of an experiment, and we'll see how it goes. Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sven, depending on how this goes. We want to thank everyone for listening to the show. If you enjoy what you're hearing, subscribe to the podcast. We appreciate you telling your friends about it. We appreciate how the podcast has been growing. A lot of cool stuff going on. Getting to talk to cool people out of it. And thank you. Oh, sorry. We've been away for a couple weeks. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are here.
Yes, we are. So, Tyler, we haven't seen each other or spoken with each other for 2 weeks.
This is the most we talked to each other before the show started. Eventually,
did.
It was just like we should start recording. But yeah, so we tried this thing where we wanted to do 2 episodes, but we ended up getting distracted before Too Old to Die Young, and then Sven was going out of town. I was going out of town also, but we just say it was because of him, and kind of block recorded and then rolled it out. So I kind of got to listen to it over the course of 2 weeks, putting the episodes together, but now we're back.
It's nice, which is interesting because we didn't plan to make that a 2-parter. It's sort of just happened, and it became a much longer session. And halfway through the session, my director actually walked in, and I was about to go into an edit, so he had to sit there for another 20, 30 minutes as I was analyzing.
Oh, man.
Too Old and Die Young, and I was texting him back and forth, so sometimes I sort of dropped off during that podcast, just trying to crisis manage things.
We would never know. And then at the time of recording, I got a hold of you. I was like, hey, we should do the Too Old to Die Young first, because I feel like it's just going to become like a big thing. People are going to be talking about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's do the second part first. And then I had watched 9.5 episodes, and then I finished watching it and was kind of like, oh, yeah, people might not be talking about this. And also then Stranger Things came out, so I haven't heard anyone talk about Too Old to Die Young since we recorded that episode. I don't know if we started a conversation about it, but yeah, that was kind of the process.
Well, I wouldn't know. I was gone. I was in Hawaii, and swam with dolphins and manta rays. And now I'm back and excited for the rest of the year. Lots of interesting things I want to do with the time that I have.
Hey, what
now.
do you have going on, Sven?
Well, I was going to devote more time to the YouTube channel. There's definitely an episode coming up with Vashi. I don't know if you know Vashi. He's an editor that's pretty well known in the social media stratosphere because He does all these interesting social posts about like how many cats are in Jaws or The Shining, and it does all these like screenshots of them, and you can really go through the entire film and see like how long shots are and how few cats there are compared to nowadays, that kind of stuff. Really interesting.
Huh. That's a big thing. I know because there's an Every Frame a Painting video that is cool that does the comparison between Ant-Man and Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the ones I post for my class, so a lot of them had comments and thoughts on that.
The thing that Ant-Man is so short, right? The cuts are so...
Well, it's tightened. It's much tighter, and it's like the same kind of moment, the hero realizing or experimenting with their powers. It's a weird thing where I do feel like it would be more impactful to obviously spend more time on those moments in Ant-Man, but I always wonder, like in this, commercial world, this world of commerce, it's just a weird thing. Is it better that you just kind of speed through it, in the case of Ant-Man, or like are they not giving that movie the opportunity to create the emotional investment? Because it's a clear choice, like it's there to happen.
Yeah. What's
driving the choice to tighten it? My point is that Ant-Man versus Star Wars, maybe ultimately Ant-Man's not going to have the impact of Star Wars. So having that deeper weight to the character, why do that up front when at the end, it's just never going to carry the significance? I mean, those are kind of the tough decisions to make, I guess, but maybe it's better for the movie to sacrifice the better, more drawn out editing.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Sure. I feel like in general now, the problem with movies is that they don't take their time to make us care about the characters. They have to like get things done in the first act. Like if there isn't a killing in the first 3 minutes or whatever it is, like the big thing that happens,
inciting incident,
then the movie supposedly has a problem. I'm missing that, but maybe it's just because I was young at a different time and I'm nostalgic about the movies that I grew up with. But I think what's happening is you cut a scene and it feels good, it feels right, you do a little tightening, and then you're kind of done with it. And this is sort of what's happening right now with the movie that I'm working on. And then you sort of live with the movie and you see it with a bunch of people, and every time you see it, it just feels like it's dragging to you. And then you start tightening it up and say, oh, we need to get through this first act much faster. Right. Then you start shaving things. You take out a couple of lines, a couple of frames, a couple of seconds here and there. The risk that you're taking is that you really, because in the moment you built this to work emotionally and you gave it that breath so that it's working. And now that you're so close to it and you've seen it so many times, you can't feel it anymore. So you feel like you need to make it tighter, and then in a way, you're kind of destroying everything that you've built, unless you really know what you're doing, or you really like doing test screenings with a neutral audience where you can really feel how they feel. I know James Cameron said instead of like shaving things off, if you feel like the movie plays long, think about either like restructuring, taking out a character or story beats in its entirety to make the movie work, instead of trying to like make every scene like 10% shorter. That usually fails. You're really cutting off the emotion. And maybe that's what happened in Ant-Man with that scene.
Well, there's a few points that this makes me think about. One is the effect that digital technology has on the ability to just do those shaves and tighten it and let's try this and now that. And then also the idea of, again, trimming things down to get, more screenings in a day or whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's also led to this other kind of paradoxical thing, which is the other side of it, which is that it's also led to this kind of rebellion amongst filmmakers that appreciate the filmmaking you're talking about, the stuff that I enjoy, the real classics, the ones that are being remade now.
Yeah.
That are now in movies like, say, The Master, or the stuff James Gray is doing, or ironically even Scorsese in The Wolf of Wall Street with Thelma Schoonmaker. They made an effort because they, much more successfully done like the faster editing in their films. They're making an effort to have these scenes that really play out. And of course there's like, stuff like The Revenant and Birdman, and these things that are really holding for a long time and drawing, kind of attention to it. But there are also filmmakers that are doing these long shots that have no cut and you almost don't even notice it. And exactly to what you were saying with The Wolf of Wall Street, that was a movie that had like a 3.5 hour runtime or something like that. They literally, the distributor, who I guess now is in jail in Malaysia, or sorry, whoever it is, like that was the financier, but whoever was like, no, this movie has to be 3 hours. And they'd made an effort to do like the longer shots and kind of twist the cutty thing that they'd kind of helped start. But then also Schoonmaker said that she managed to cut half an hour out without losing a single scene. And it's kind of like, wait, what? And you see the movie, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in Wolf of Wall Street, but to me, overall, it kind of just does kind of lack that weight in a way that we're talking about. And it just, I mean, it's alarming to me to think that you can lose half an hour without losing any scenes.
It's possible.
Like, what was it before?
I've done it before. Like, I mean, not lose 30 minutes, but like lose 15 minutes out of a 105-minute movie, and you don't know where the cuts were, but it feels different. It definitely feels rushed.
But now losing 15 minutes without losing any scenes or story points?
Yeah.
And Wolf of Wall Street definitely has like some long stuff that plays out. It's just like, I don't know, it's just weird. And it just seemed like to me, and maybe we should do a scene from Wolf of Wall Street. Like there's a couple scenes that I think could be just removed completely from that movie to give it like a good 10 minutes. Like there's a scene where maybe we should save it for a future episode, but there's a scene where they're debating, hiring, small people for a party and just saying, and I can't, I've watched it recently. I can't for the life of me figure out why that scene has to be in that movie.
Yeah.
And what the point of it is aside from like, oh, look, Leo's doing improv.
I definitely remember watching the movie that it didn't feel long or rushed. Like I felt like I was engaged the entire time through. But I can appreciate what you were saying, that it's maybe missing some weight. It definitely feels like a ride as opposed to a movie that like makes us feel like we're better people for a day or two. A great movie it lifts you up in a way, or makes you feel really heavy because it's so depressed. Whatever it is that they're trying to do, it stays with you. I don't think Wolf of Wall Street stayed with me after I saw the movie. I was like, that was cool. Moving on. Yeah,
that was executed perfectly in all capacity, in every filmmaking capacity, and like you're saying, including the editing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't linger like other Scorsese stuff, and yet at the same time has that amazing scene where he's one long take of him trying to get into that Lamborghini or whatever, where obviously they weren't like cutting around it, and also that's the only coverage that was filmed for that.
Oh, interesting.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation, Sven. So the thing I just want to really quick, because this is something I want to bring up on the podcast. We've touched on two things. One, Leo. Two, yesterday, because I'm curious to people listening to the podcast, I'm curious if you get to see it, Sven, the Danny Boyle film about the guy, the Beatles get kind of erased from Earth, but he remembers their songs, so starts singing them.
Yeah.
It was Danny Boyle, so it's phenomenal. It's amazing. I mean, I still think Trainspotting 2 is like maybe the best movie of that year. I don't remember what else was out, but no matter what level he's making a movie at, like he's doing incredible stuff. So it's a really, to me, I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was great. But there's a definite thing, this isn't like a spoiler or anything, I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I really look forward to doing the opening, analyzing the opening on the show, because there was definitely something about it where objectively I was like, oh, this is being cut, like rescue edited, like to make it fast. Kind of exactly the thing we're talking about. And I'm like, why would you sacrifice, these possible moments of having them more weight? And then as the movie goes and you realize like what a Russian doll of stuff it is, you realize, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, sometimes you just get in that situation where it's like, well, let's just move through this because there's a lot more, treasure waiting. So I'm just curious if anyone saw the film, if they had that reaction, or looks forward to us maybe looking at it and talking about it, even though I've poisoned Sven with my opinion already.
Yeah, that's really cool. You said Russian doll. I think today, we might be hinting at that today as well with Aziz. I think he has that similar strategy. Before we get to it, though, I have some user comments.
Let me do my Leo thing real quick.
Oh, sorry, go for it.
So Leo, so the reason Leo ties together is because the trailer, I've seen several movies because I had a little time to do so, and I really thought that I even wanted to do the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood trailer on this show because I just think it's so incredibly well done, the actual trailer.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many levels to it and places that it goes just within a small amount of time for something that's overall, it seems just like a fun experience. But for some reason, all these movies I'm seeing, they're playing the teaser trailer, which I think is so weird. In the first movie I saw it with, I was like, oh, this is a bad indicator for this movie because they're playing a very glib trailer. I forget what the movie was, but it was, a movie that ended up being very glib. But then they've subsequently, every movie I've seen, that trailer has played, and it's always the teaser, which is very...
Is it shorter? Is it
very, very weird to me.
That it's like a 1 minute teaser trailer as opposed to a 5 minute full-on trailer.
Yeah, they've done the actual issue we're talking about just in trailer form.
Yeah, that they just want to cram in a lot of trailers. Yeah. Okay, good.
And again, AMC makes you watch 20 minutes of fucking trailers now before the movie starts. So thanks for rushing one.
I'm sure for every trailer they play, they get a little money. So if they put in more, they get more money. So how was the movie?
Which movie?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It comes out at the end of the month.
Oh, you haven't seen it. Sorry, I'm not up to par. Still on island time.
No worries.
User comment. Here we go.
He's still on Titanic time. He can't get over it.
I got a message from Andrew, and people are actually now tweeting me, which is nice. I say that while this is an email. I recently had a bit of a surgery on my eyes, and while recuperating, watched a few of my favorite films with only headphones. So he wasn't seeing the film. He was just listening to it.
Oh, cool.
I was drawn to two scenes in particular, one from The Hunt of Red October and the other from Master and Commander, which seems to have been edited with the audio as a top priority. He gives me links for those scenes. Though the actors are conversing and reacting, the Red October clip maintains the consistent pace, the lights flashing and ticking. In the Master and Commander clip, the unbroken, erratic breathing of the Doctor operating on himself makes it come off as a one take, but that seems unlikely. It would be great to hear a breakdown of these scenes, what decisions, if any, might be made during production and how an editor would approach them without sacrificing the actors' lines and a natural timing rhythm of conversation and reactions. Thanks, you rock, Andrew. Really cool.
Very cool.
We should take a look.
Yeah, mastering that scene in Master and Commander is an example of one that lives on with you, where they're trying to figure out how much of his clothing went into his body with the bullet, and if they got it all.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
Yeah,
and Peter Weir's film that I think won an Oscar for sound. I think it definitely won one for production design. I think the guy who went on to direct Maleficent, but he was a production designer, became a visual production designer. So he did, Rob Stromberg. So he did Avatar. He did, he had like back to Alice in Wonderland. He had like back-to-back Oscars. Anyway, sorry.
No worries. I have another comment. This guy edits, I would like you to review the new Child's Play movie, please.
Oh, God.
Okay.
We will.
Yeah.
Now I have an excuse to see it. Thank you. It may not happen soon, but once it's on video.
Yeah, we have a couple of ideas. I was thinking about doing Her as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool. And then I have an email exchange
Speaking of Spike Jones.
Yeah, and I want to take a little bit of time to go through this, and you can cut this out if this is too long. But it's interesting because I always talk, when you hear me on the channel or in the course, that the way you break into the business is you got to kick down a back door. It's not, there is no front door available 99% of the time. Like whatever you try that you think is the way to do it is probably not going to pan out. Like responding to an ad and send out a resume will not render you a job 99% of the time. You won't even get a call back.
Well, if you're sending one, right.
Yeah, okay, you send 100, then you get one interview, right? So
exactly.
You should still do it, and that might be the way to go for it. But I think the backdoor strategy is much, much more effective. And what
not to be too dreary, but also that job will end. So basically, you have to be committing that that's like the job for the rest of your life. You're always going to be kind of like, looking for work, and more importantly, like making genuine contacts that'll lead to stuff with people you want to work with and projects you want to work on.
Yeah, yeah. And what I mean by backdoor is you kind of create an opportunity for yourself where there is none, or there's not one officially publicly available. And one way is that you just approach people and provide value to them, right? You hit up an interesting filmmaker and you say, hey, I saw your film, I really enjoyed it. The thing is, the backdoor strategy works quite often. Like, I have an intern starting this week, and she approached me, sent a resume off. Somehow she figured out a way for me to be intrigued in the email, that we set up a call, and within the first 30 seconds of the call, I'm like, wow, I need to work with her, because she could really show that she's cool, she's got the goods in terms of she has the skills, and she's going to fit right into the machine that we have going on here. So this is nothing where I sent out an ad and said, hey, I'm looking for an intern. I wasn't looking for an intern. I'm like, okay, this person is so interesting. I need to find work for her so that we can try this out. And that happens all the time. That's how you get jobs. And sometimes it means you have to do something for free a little bit. And then once people realize, wow, this is so much value, this is actually materialistically valuable to me, I would be foolish not to pay you to stick around. And if you're the right kind of person, and that goes both ways, that completely has nothing to do with taking advantage of people. It's giving people an opportunity where you test out whether this is going to work out, and when it does, you're so happy to figure out something that works for both sides.
And you realize the degree to which you're doing a recruitment podcast. I feel like you're going to get so many emails.
Yeah, which means this backdoor is going to get harder and harder to kick open. So you got to.
That's the other thing. Once it's been kicked down, then it's hard for the next person to kick through it.
It's find another way. But
you're also kind of framing yourself as the gatekeeper and the ultimate backdoor to get to, where there's actually a whole world of opportunities out there, and so much of it's relationship based. It's just having a good reputation, working well with people, because you never know who of your friends is going to be in a position to recommend you for something.
And it's so much easier to actually get the attention of the top dog than it is to get the middleman, because the middleman is like in a defensive position. So if you get like a director that you're really excited about, or an editor, like if you know, these movies are all edited by the same dude, I really love what he's doing, lady. Or she, find a way. Emails, Twitter, you can talk to anyone. You can talk to Elon Musk, right? You can get a response out of that guy. All that matters is, what is it that you have to say? The channel is available to you to get a reaction, and that's a backdoor.
So I just texted Musk, got right back to me, and he wants us to talk about to get into the clip analysis.
Nice, I love it. Let's do it.
So let me do a little setup to explain. So Sven, the podcast has been doing very well. It's very fun for us to do. We've kind of been figuring it out more and more in terms of what it is, looking at stuff, giving our insights, more about the production and execution. Oh, by the way, should we talk about that video I sent you from the director of Shazam? He put a cool video essay out. We might link to it, but it was talking about thing that I think is a big... Yeah, it's like a theme on this show, which is factoring the production restrictions of the stuff that we're giving feedback on. Like if you have a problem with something, there might be more into why that happened and maybe some lesson in avoiding it in the future, or how actually, the quote-unquote bad edit is actually a genius edit because of the horrible train wreck it's saving down the road. And it's a cool video of pointing out the flaws people have pointed out in Shazam, and just, it's like minuscule little things, but like, look at all this crazy stuff that was happening on the set and like what we had to factor. And like, there's this major story thing that, look at how we had to do this whole drawn out, like shot and blocked like an extra like 2 days of shooting just to explain why a character has a jacket on.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's a fun video to check out. And I thought thematically fits with something we bring up a lot on this video.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people talk about this video. It's been shared around quite a bit. And it's interesting to see why a certain character appears in a scene and doesn't, and why they're wearing jackets, because it's solving problems down the road. So it's interesting to figure out. But I have to say, probably in the moment when you watch the movie, you're not questioning any of these refrigerator logic moments, like why they're wearing jackets. Doesn't really matter. You could have just cut straight to it.
Right. And so that's why it's fun to analyze stuff and look at like, what was the opportunity here? Why does this work the way it does?
Yeah.
So to set up this clip, Sven decided to do the antithesis of it, because the podcast is working out so well. What's the exact opposite of what we've been doing that's been working? Oh, I know. Let's look at some stand-up comedy, a stand-up comedy special. There's no traditional cinematic structure.
I'm always happy to experiment with the format, and the reason why I picked this is because when I watched the special, something happened to me that I thought, in terms of the storytelling, is really interesting. And my attempt is to make this a really nuanced analysis. I don't want to have an opinion about it necessarily, but there's definitely something that happened to me, and I feel like it might happen to you as well, or it might have happened. You watched some of it, and I'm really curious to find out how you felt about it.
You're talking about me? Well, it's funny because you texted me, hey, let's do this stand-up comedy special, and I was like, oh, God. So now the movie podcast is tackling sexual assault allegations. I'm sure that's what people are here to listen for, and had a ton of reservations about doing it.
Yeah.
Still do, but it's fun to row ahead. And then started watching it and saw that Spike Jonze directed it and was like, "Oh, that's cool. Why didn't you just open with that, Sven?" I would have watched it in a minute.
Because
it
didn't really resonate with me. I wasn't like, oh, Spike Jonze, this got to be interesting. I was like, I think in the end credits, I became aware of it, not in the front.
Well, it comes up right away, and then I assumed that he was filming it like he did with the little Al Gore documentary he did that's really cool.
I think he was.
And no, he wasn't, because immediately Aziz points out the camera guy, and it's definitely not Spike Jonze.
Oh, really? I read it somewhere that's him. But
that the guy on stage is Spike Jonze?
Yeah, that's what
No way.
I mean, maybe it was on a different... I don't know, but...
Spike Jonze is in Wolf of Wall Street. He's a very different looking man than that guy. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he grew 4 feet, and who knows. But that's... But anyhow, I should just preface with my relationship with stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
In terms of specials, like theater, comedy, improv, and this is even something that it's active participation. So I've never been able to watch or engage in stand-up comedy specials because, viewing stuff is passive.
Yeah, interesting.
And for me, just it doesn't work, and there's no real cinematic. For me, there's no visual device that's engaging to me. So ultimately, just feeling, and every once in a while you'll see oh, cool, Spike Lee did a Leguizamo special, or oh, cool, Spike Jonze did this one. What's the cool approach? And I do think that the one thing I'll say is there is a unique visual kind of exploration of this that I think is kind of cool. And I really hope they shot on film. I tried to look at that camera see, but okay, because there's a lot of film. It's either they put the most over-the-top filter on it ever or just didn't correct it and adjust it at all. So they covered his entire tour on actual film for however long it was?
Kodak 16mm film. With Jonze operating an up-close camera on stage. That's what it says on Wikipedia. During the recording that is in the Netflix special.
Okay, very cool. Well, so anyways, yeah, so I've always just never really been able to get into this stuff, so...
Well, for me, it's different.
I
love stand-up comedy, and I've never been actually to a live event. So it must be insane to be part of one.
How...
But I love watching them. It's kind of my ASMR at night when I fall asleep because it's so nice. You don't have to watch anything. You can just listen. And if you doze off and then you come back, you don't miss anything because it just goes from joke to joke to joke most of the time, at least. Here, I think it's good to follow the whole thread. But so I'm just obsessed with stand-up. I think it's such an interesting art form and so entertaining.
Well, look, I'll go a step further. I think that stand-up has diminished tremendously because I know there were times I would watch it and really laugh at it.
Yeah.
But I think some of the reason is that it's just become so accessible to make a special where it used to be if you go see someone doing stand-up, it's an act they've been working on for 10 years.
Yeah.
And now it just seems oh, cool. Kevin James has a Netflix special. Yeah. Anyone, it's hey, do you want to talk for an hour? Here's $5 to $15 million.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
that, and
bad stuff out there, or uninteresting, not funny, not thought provoking. So I don't enjoy those. I mean, I'm very selective that way.
But anyways, that's all I will rant. And I'm looking at pictures of Spike Jonze compared to the guy on stage, and my instinct is still that it's not him. But I guess I don't know. Maybe an argument could be made that it is. He's
well, maybe somebody can back it up. It's in the Wikipedia, but who knows if that's reliable.
I don't doubt for a minute that he filmed and followed him around because that's kind of his MO, but it just seems like that's not him. But maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he didn't introduce him on stage during the special, at least not. They didn't cut it in, so he didn't make a point of, hey, look at this fancy director that's following me around. I'm important. He didn't say that.
Yeah, he drew attention to the camera guy, but not...
Yeah, he just said that dude has a job to do. He's not just paparazzi or something like that. Okay, a little setup. Aziz Ansari, right now, is an American stand-up comedy special by Aziz. The special is directed by Spike Jonze and premiered on July 9th, 2019 on Netflix. In it, Ansari talks about the sexual misconduct controversy he was involved in the previous year, his relationship with his grandmother and parents, white people who want to appear anti-racist, how the threshold of acceptable behavior has changed over the past decade, and the sexual misconduct of R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. Little background. Ansari's previous special, titled Aziz Ansari Live at the Madison Square Garden, premiered on Netflix on March 6, 2015. In January 2018, a Babe.net article was published in which an anonymous woman used the pseudonym Grace accused Ansari of sexual misconduct on a date they went on in September 2017. After Ansari published a response to Grace, he reduced his public profile. In late 2018, he began performing a stand-up tour entitled Working Out New Material. And this is kind of the end product of that tour. The special was filmed at the Brooklyn Academy of Music on May 16th, 17th, and 18th in 2019. The special was directed by Spike Jonze and was mostly filmed on Kodak 16mm film, with Jonze operating an up-close camera on stage. Steve Bennett of Shorty rated the special 3.5 stars out of 5, noting that it was informed by Ansari's experience of having his reputation so thoroughly raked over, and that Jonze's very close-up shots try to humanize him more. Bennett said that Ansari can be a little self-satisfied, but that the special has probably done enough to repair his fractured reputation. I read a couple of reviews.
It's been on Netflix for a week. It's done its job.
Most of them are somewhat mixed, if not negative. The only positive one that I came across, and I haven't read all of them, was in the New Yorker, where somebody said, this is actually something that is bringing the conversation, putting the conversation forward. The scene that we're about to watch is the beginning, first 5 minutes, and it's him making a statement about, it feels like a no apology. And we're going to get into it. And I'll talk about how I reacted to it. And This is not why I picked this for this episode. I picked this because I feel like he figured something out storytelling-wise, and he structured this entire act in a way that you don't know it's coming. And you really only, at least for me, I was able to understand what's happening until I saw the ending. And then all the puzzle pieces along the way started to make sense to me, and I was able to track back. And I thought, storytelling-wise, this is a really interesting approach to tell a story. And in this particular case, it's like he's trying to make a comeback, right? He's trying to move on, trying to learn and get over it. I don't know if he deserves to do that and whether he succeeded, but this is what the objective was, and I thought it was a really interesting approach to doing that. That's my setup. So what we usually do on this podcast is we'll watch a scene that is publicly available, and we'll leave a link in the podcast description. Now, I found something on YouTube that shows this opening. It's a whole thing on a TV show in Canada where they go into it. So we'll leave that link here, but we're actually going to play it off Netflix. And I wanted to really start with the Netflix logo and then go all the way until he's done explaining, and then he goes into the routine itself, and that's where we stop. And there's some stuff we can talk about filmmaking and editing, because the way he sort of cuts the opening, I thought it was interesting. But then we'll sort of let him talk about how he sets this up and go from there. We're going to play this in 3, 2, 1, click. There we go. I got the Netflix logo right now. Very iconic, obviously. Means a lot these days. So, shot on Aziz as he's walking down a Brooklyn street. He's kind of smiley. He's like talking to the camera, but we don't hear what he's saying. He's crossing the street. He's like kind of timid at this point. The street is kind of empty. There are a couple of cars.
But mostly you just make me mad.
He's on the other side, on the pavement, keeps walking, keeps talking to the cameraman. We don't hear it, handheld. This is all intercut with some slates of the movie we just saw, Spike Jonze.
your pale blue eyes.
And the song is kind of very like understated.
Linger on, your pale blue eyes.
So he goes through a back door and then immediately is on a stage of just this massive theater. I don't know, 2,000 people maybe in there?
Sure.
Thought of you as everything.
He lifts his arms, he welcomes them, he's on stage, they're all standing. At this point, I'm thinking, how did he get so many people to actually show up at this point of his career?
I mean, Charlie Sheen was doing sold-out shows too, so
True.
you don't know the agenda of the audience.
That's true. So he sits down on the stool, his voice sort of trickles in, he thanks the audience.
Take a seat, take a seat. Thanks so much. Wow, what a nice welcome. Wow, wow, wow.
So we're handheld.
By the way, this guy's with me. He's authorized. He's not like a very audacious bootlegger who really...
Yeah, maybe it is Spike Jones because he has those little shoes on.
You said no phones, but what about full-on cameras?
Back to the camera, back to that POV shot.
You know, you might be at the show. When it's on whatever I put it on, you'll be like, oh shit, I was there. But we're filming a few shows, so if you're like the shitty crowd, we won't use any of the footage.
Cut to the audience laughing.
Well, the implication is that they filmed all of them also, and then this was just the one they went with.
Yeah. It's interesting that in the background you can see like backstage area is fully lit and people are standing there. Probably just to give this shot some depth.
Yeah, I did appreciate the perspective, like covering stand-up comedy this way.
It's like, hey man, love the Netflix show. And I was like, oh, thanks so much. He's like, yeah, I really liked the episode you did on Supreme. I was like, what? I didn't do no episode on Supreme. And then I quickly realized he's talking about Hassan Minhaj. Patriot Act. Different show, different guy.
So a fan mistook him on the street.
Felt horrible, right? And he immediately realized his mistake, and he was trying to buy it back. He was like, oh, no, Aziz, right? I was like, yeah, that's me. Master of None, yeah, that's me. Parks and Rec, yeah, that's me. Treat Yourself, yeah, that's me. And you had that whole thing last year, sexual misconduct. No. That was Hassan.
Blame someone else for it. It's great.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, dude, that's your comeback?
You know, I haven't said much about that whole thing, but I've talked about it on this tour.
Okay, so now you're going to take this seriously. Let's see what you got to say.
There's some of you that are curious how I feel about that whole situation. And it's a tricky thing for me to answer because I felt so many things in the last year or so. There's times I felt scared. There's times I felt humiliated. There's times I felt embarrassed. And ultimately, I just felt terrible that this person felt this way. And after a year or so, I just hope it was a step forward.
What we're talking about, we don't know, right? Unless you've read the articles.
I hope I become a better person. And I always think about a conversation I had with one of my friends where he was like, you know what, man? That whole thing made me think about every date I've ever been on. And I thought, wow, well, that's pretty incredible. If it's made not just me, but other people be more thoughtful, then that's a good thing.
Really?
And that's how I feel about it. And I know
that's a good
this
thing.
isn't the most hilarious way to begin a comedy show. But it's important to me that you know how I feel about that whole thing before we share this night together.
Okay, friendly audience. I'm like, I'm not buying this at all. This is your excuse, and then you want to move on?
Well, that was pretty intense. What else should we
Was
talk
it?
about? America.
All right, and then he gets into his
So that's 5
routine.
minutes.
Yeah, so we can stop it right here.
We tap out now.
Yeah, so I don't know. How did you feel after just seeing that? Are you good with him now?
No, because it's not an apology. It's part of an act
Yeah.
that's been done around the country. You know, it's not... I mean, whatever. He did apologize previously, et cetera, but it just
He did.
felt to me whether it's coming from a real place or not, whatever happened in that situation, I wasn't there. I can't say. Obviously, you always have to, give a victim the benefit of the doubt. But that, to me, was reminiscent of listening to a politician talk.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like watching it. It was like, God, okay.
That's
Cool.
what I would call a non-apology. Like
Right, it's a performance.
You're explaining things, but you're not taking responsibility. Which I don't know the case specifically. I don't know what happened. So he made that choice. He responded at some point, and you said he did apologize, which I kind of remember that he did. But at this stage, I was like, dude, I'm not buying it. It's not even genuine to me. I think this is like you're trying to just like address the issue without really addressing it. Remember that car commercial from VW that's playing right now where they're like talking about the scandal and that they've learned from it and now they're going all electric. If you watch that commercial closely,
Right.
you have no idea what the scandal is or what they're talking about. It's like it's playing some news snippets, but they cut it off just before it's being addressed. And then you see a guy like late at night in the office like, Jesus, we just fucked up. What are we going to do now? Let's go back to the drawing board. Oh, I have an idea. Let's go all electric. Playing that to the sound of silence, I believe. It's not really, it's hinting at, we did something bad and now we need to find a way to come back from it. But it's never saying, oh, sorry, we cheated on the TDI so that we can sell this car and make more money, and we're okay with people dying because the emissions are much higher than what the regulations are. Sorry about that whole incident. Now we've learned, and now we're going to go all clean emission. It doesn't say that in the ad, and I kind of feel like this is the same thing here. He doesn't say anything. I don't know if he needs to or has to. I'm not familiar with the case, but it feels like he's kind of addressing it without really addressing it so that he can get to what he really wants to achieve, which is he wants to get back on stage, he wants to do his next special, his next routine, and he wants to be able to continue a career after this, come back, which this is the situation we have these days, is that a lot of these artists can't come back, at least not right now. They haven't figured out a way. And this is his attempt of doing that.
Well, also, if you want to work and networks and studios aren't going to take a gamble on you, you can always pre-sell a theater with tickets and make money.
Which it feels like he probably did, because at the beginning he says, okay, well, you audience, if you're good enough, you might be in whatever this is going to be in. It's kind of hints like they didn't make the deal with Netflix yet at the point.
Right, yeah. So he's making money performing, which
is... but it's self-financed, possibly.
Which is why I always said Louis C.K., everyone, yourself included, was always like, oh, Louis C.K. is such a genius. He's figured out this way to, just independently distribute his own stuff. I think that entire thing was purely because he knew what was coming. He knew he was going to pay the piper eventually, and just minimizing the damage.
Yeah.
By being able to distribute his own material.
Well, didn't he distribute his own material before he even blew up?
Yeah, not before he began masturbating in front of.
True.
So I'm sure that was part of it, but as it got bigger and bigger, he moved more of it towards that platform, and
he definitely
questioned the genuine.
Yeah, he definitely innovated on that idea, and it's part of the reason why there's so many comedy specials now. People realize, you can make money with this, and then Netflix paid for a lot of these specials. But then if you didn't get a Netflix special, you could always try and self-finance it and then try and sell it to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, HBO really moved the special game forward, and then Comedy Central, and then Netflix is just trying to, comics claim, trying to corner the market on everything. So that's why they're buying up. They're just trying to get something from everyone.
Yeah.
Like Dave Chappelle, even though it was like an enjoyable one.
HBO created the genre, possibly. Back then, you had to really be somebody to get an HBO special. And then Netflix...
Well, it was a big break. And so is getting on Carson, I mean...
Yes. And Netflix sort of made it more mainstream. Now almost anyone can get a special. A lot more, at least.
But also, like, records of specials and stuff were a thing for a long time.
Yeah. So, anyway,
now the goal is to have a podcast.
Yeah. At this point, I was not really bought in to the special at all. I was like, okay, this was a whole... I don't know if he succeeded with this. The audience kind of is more on board than I was at this point, which I understand because they're probably there... And they made some investment to get there, which is they got a babysitter, they got to get an Uber, they got to make this time available. They want to be there. They want to have a good time. So it's maybe a little bit easier
warmed up by
for them to buy into
comics.
This. Yeah, true.
Maybe they're drunk.
Yeah, I mean, they're here for special, so it could also be a very selective audience. Definitely some fans. But then... I was sort of following this whole special and I was watching it, and he takes a lot of stabs at different people. He talks about R. Kelly, he talks about Michael Jackson. He actually really puts some people in the audience on the spot. And then he intersperses it with everything that he's done bad. For example, he was fat-shaming his cousin back in a routine. He wouldn't do that today anymore because times have changed. And that's the whole theme of the special. It's like we are living in a different time. Let me ask you a question,
though.
Yep.
Does he, because I didn't get to that part, does he use any of the fat-shaming thing? Does he score laughs off of saying any of the things he said to his cousin?
Well, he puts jokes in there throughout, but the joke is not you're fat.
Right, but if he's using it to get laughs... like the things he said before, like, can you believe I would say this? Like, it's the same thing as when he does like a broad and offensive impression of an Asian stereotype for a laugh within the context of this isn't okay anymore. It wasn't this bad, and it's like it's just different kind of lead-ins to the same old like shit. Which I kind of call, there's a lot of safism. Like, who is, like, comedy's just one thing all the time. So it's like, oh, who can we be racist? Like, who's it safe to be racist towards now? So it's not like the ball's really moving forward at all with anything.
It's hard for me to answer it for you, whether he does that or not. I feel like he uses these things strategically. For one, he wants to, like, put the light somewhere else. Say, look, I've done these things. They are bad. Look at me admitting how bad I was. Look at these other people, and they've done things that are so much worse.
Well, he makes up a whole thing, and he's like, well, so how can you believe anything if you believe that?
Right. Did you get to the part where he talks about the pizza? That there was a swastika on the pizza?
Right, that's what I was just referencing.
Yeah. Goes through this whole routine that people were upset, outraged, blah, 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 blah. And then he asked the audience, so... who of you saw the story? And people raised their hand. And who of you thought this is ridiculous, so upsetting? And people raised their hands. And then he says, well, I just made this whole thing up. And then he talks about how we always feel like we need to have an opinion about things. Like there's a news story. We don't even know if this news story is real or not. Doesn't matter. It's like we're put in a position, or we're putting ourselves in a position that we need to have an opinion about this. We need to reinforce our belief system. So he starts really questioning how we are dealing with all these stories, with news, with truth, with reality, and how difficult it has become nowadays to really keep an even keel about everything. And that's when I started to become more interested. It wasn't so much like I didn't really buy into this whole thing until maybe halfway in. And by the time he was done at the end, and I'm not going to reveal how he like unravels this whole thing, I was like, okay, this is an attempt to repair something, and what he accomplishes along the way is a bigger thing. And I think it's worthwhile what he tried here, which is that he really was able to create conversation at points where we forgot how to have conversations about issues. It's much more we need to reinforce our belief system with everything that we hear. that's the reason why I thought, wow, okay, he had a master plan for this entire special, and he's turning the audience, or he's turning the viewer around. And at least for me, I felt like, wow, he really pointed to some things that makes it easier for me to deal with the onslaught of information that we get, how we need to protect ourselves from just the emotional component. I thought that's really, really interesting how you use storytelling to do that.
Yeah, and of course Jordan Peele's fake news Obama video is great too.
Yeah.
So the takeaway for editors is,
if you figure out what the higher goal is that you have, whatever that is, even if it's something that you want to avoid, there's a way how you can do it to tackle some hard topics.
Yeah, and I think it's cool to, you know, we don't know that a conversation started. We don't know what the success of it is at all. It's just something else that's on Netflix, and time will show the effect that this has. But I think getting people like Spike Jonze and stuff on board is a cool thing. But I also wonder, you know, Spike Jonze getting involved, if his intention was really to make us like just a single performance special of Aziz Ansari, which is literally what it is. Maybe they just sold that to Netflix for some cash. But it really seems like the kind of thing that a filmmaker like that would probably be more interested in following someone who's going through this Me Too moment. Maybe he's following multiple people that are from the perspective of the perpetrator or the accused perpetrator and trying to put their crew together. So maybe it seems like he was maybe trying to make a documentary, and maybe that's ultimately where this is headed rather than, you know, just filming a special. But,
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
and this is just one of the things to come out of it. And I don't know, maybe just the way things have played out has led that to becoming the result. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's figured it out yet, but I think he took some interesting steps. He made it work for me.
Awesome. I am neutral.
I mean, one thing is clear: if what he did, if he made somebody feel assaulted, then that's despicable, and that's terrible. And the best thing he can do is to acknowledge it and apologize. And I think he sort of did. I read the statement. He said he wasn't aware that that's what's going on. He thought it was consensual, and if it wasn't, that he's sorry for creating those feelings. It's probably not enough.
Thank you to everyone for listening to this unorthodox version of our own podcast with its own coded hidden meanings within. And if you like what you're hearing, tell a friend about it. If you hate what you're hearing, tell a friend about it. If you can tell for sure whether that's Spike Jonze or not, I'm a little more believing it's him because Wikipedia said it was. So now I have to believe that, as we learned from the special. And if you like the music, it's curtainmusic.com. And as Sven always says...
Yeah, I'd be very curious to find out what you think, if you've seen the special, what it did for you. Yeah, I would love that conversation. So hit us back on at thisguyedits.com, and as I always say, happy editing.
It's iPhones and TV shows about tweakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers.
As Finn always says. Okay, sorry, I screwed that ending up. We gotta get back in the swing here. Oh man.
No worries. How much did you watch?